Out of curiosity, I recently read the Michael Lane Azrael series from the late 2000s. Going into this, I knew plenty of the Jean-Paul incarnation, and all I really knew about Michael Lane was that he existed late into the 2000s and that he is the Azrael that the Arkham games for some reason decided to use. I'm not really sure why, but the identity of Azrael in those two games doesn't really matter much. Regardless, after reading this series, I can say it is definitely one of the more back and forth things I've read in a while. The series was released later in 2009 following the Death's Dark Knight miniseries earlier on in the year where he debuted. In just 18 comics, the writer changes twice, starting with Fabian Nicieza and then switching over to David Hine for the second half. The artist, on the other hand, changes thrice, starting with Ramon Boggs, who we've covered here on the channel in Batman City of Crime. It then switches to Gwilla March, who is best known for his run on Gotham City Sirens probably. And it ends with Cliff Richards, who you probably know from either some Buffy comics or you might know him from the recent Justice League Odyssey series. The art, in my opinion, starts pretty stylized, but not in a way I'm really a fan of. Similar issues that I had with Boggs' art in Batman City of Crime. Faces and proportions are pretty off-looking, and some of the character designs just aren't what I'm into. For example, Azrael's chainmail looks more like he just has hairy arms when Boggs is illustrating the title than it actually looks like armor. The story structure is pretty repetitive during Fabian's portion of the series, with a lot of the issues starting with flashbacks. They feel sort of like the little quotes that start the Clone Wars episodes for those of you who have watched it, but as a scene instead of just a line of text. I guess another comparison would be the cold opens that the CW vs. DC TV series had before the title card would appear. Fabian's portion of the story feels much more like Michael Lane just being a street-level vigilante and learning the ins and outs about being Azrael. Hine's portion, on the other hand, plays up more on the religious aspect of the mantle and what comes with that, and it is a bit more of a globe-trotting type feel to it rather than just being a Gotham City vigilante type story. The characterization of Michael is pretty seamless between both writers, but the tone shift between the main story focus feels pretty jarring to me. I do enjoy both aspects, or at least both approaches to the story, but I would much rather the series stick to one than just shifting between the two around halfway through the 18 issues. The pacing also kind of drags at certain points, and there are a few eye-rolling moments as well. There are guest appearances from the likes of Ragman, who works very well in the issue that he appears in, and fan-favorite characters like Harvey Bullock are also reoccurring characters throughout portions of the title. We also get both Batmen at the time, both Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. Damian Wayne is also in the series for one issue as well. Both Batmen are depicted very well by both writers. I'm not really sure if it was an editorial choice or if it was just a coincidence, but it felt like more effort was put into the story when they were both appearing in it. Considering one of the elements of the story involving a certain character, Damian definitely would have been utilized much better than appearing in only one individual issue. I do like the brief visual nod to his love of animals, though. That is one of my favorite parts of his characterization. But like I said, I wish he was in the story more, at least as much as both of the Batmen. The series has a point that feels like a very definitive ending, but then it kicks off into a new storyline near the end, but that storyline has to end after 2 issues because the entire series is done by that point. So it really felt like they weren't given too much heads up regarding when the book was going to end, so the awkward ending to the series leaves you feeling a bit cold. Overall, this is probably the most middle-of-the-road thing I've read in a while, and definitely the most middle-of-the-road thing I can recall talking about on this channel. It's a quick read, and you may like it more than me, depending on the types of interests you have, so if you are a fan of Batman or his surrounding characters, or both, I would recommend you at least check it out. It's not too long to read, and you can easily just drop this early on, and there's no consequences to the story really impacting anything further down the road. With that being said, I know this was kind of a short one, but thank you for watching or listening to this. I appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share all the fun algorithm-boosting aspects of YouTube. And with a new Star Wars TV series being out now, I've decided I might as well talk about the franchise for the first time in about a year. So keep an eye out for my next video where I will be going over some of my most recommended Clone Wars stories. Thank you, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.